ITV News can reveal the huge tide of raw sewage engulfing some of England and Wales's most environmentally sensitive sites. Data given to us by Greenpeace's investigative unit, Unearthed, shows that there have been nearly 1,200 sewage overflows into or close to sites of special scientific interest. Now, they're supposed to be protected with formal conservation plans. The investigation also found sea life in those areas with traces of illicit drugs. Amazingly, crabs were found with traces of the Class A drug ecstasy, and cocaine was also discovered in tests. Our science correspondent Martin Stew has this special report.
The Lake District, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Some areas, like Esthwaite Water and Cunsey Beck, have even greater protection. Sites of special scientific interest, they should be a safe haven for nature.
So Cunsey Beck connects Esthwaite Water, which is to our left-hand side, goes for about 2 miles all the way to Windermere Lake itself.
But there's something sinister below the surface: untreated sewage.
So this built for 1,300 hours, just over that in 2022.
Upstream, Hawkshead pumping station, which discharges into Esthwaite Water, also released sewage for more than 1,400 hours.
Much of what goes into these systems, because they're so slow, they essentially capture it. And basically, a lot of that is now at the bed of Windermere. It's decades worth of pollution, which is now sat there like a ticking time bomb. This is like really young.
This should be a protected wild sanctuary. This grass snake skin, a clue to the rare species who live here. But life near the pipe is struggling.
Once you get an impact on the lower levels, on the invertebrates, that then starts impacting everything else. So the things that the grass snakes are eating, like the fish, the frogs, anything else, small birds, as soon as you start losing that lower level, which is what we're starting to see across the board with what our invertebrate surveys are showing, this will then impact these.
Like many parts of the country, here there are now more people living than the sewage system was designed to cope with. Add in seasonal tourists and unseasonably heavy rain, and the system simply can't cope.
The problem isn't constrained to the Lake District. Data given exclusively to ITV News by Unearthed, Greenpeace's investigative unit, shows nearly 1,200 overflow pipes discharge inside or within 50 metres of precious conservation sites. Between them, they released untreated sewage for more than 300,000 hours last year. At the other end of the country, another site of special scientific interest damaged by discharges. Langstone Harbour near Portsmouth is home to 20,000 migratory birds, 50 species of fish, rare European eels, and this pipe.
This pipe right here is where it all flows out of. When it comes out, it's absolutely astonishing when after a big storm or something, the ferocity of the water that comes out is crazy, and it's created a big crater.
This footage is from 2021. Last year, sewage was released into the harbour for 719 hours.
In this sewage and in this water is a chemical cocktail that our wildlife are swimming in all the time. We have the choice to stay out of that water after releases, but these creatures don't. It's just so sad, it's so disappointing that people don't see the emergency.
On the opposite side of the harbour, marine biologist Alex Ford has been sampling the water for decades. He tests for chemicals and studies what impact the cocktail of drugs in the water is having on the creatures which call it home.
So in these crabs we're finding a wide range of pharmaceuticals and illegal drugs like cocaine, methamphetamine, MDMA.
He's discovered more than 50 different chemicals. Some may have come from farming, industry and boat paints, but many are human drugs which have almost certainly come from sewage.
Those pharmaceuticals do very similar things to wildlife as they do to us. For example, the contraceptive pill will feminize a fish, an antidepressant will change the behaviour of wildlife, and a cholesterol-altering drug will do exactly that. It'll alter the cholesterol in wildlife and it'll make it not put on as much weight, which might have profound impacts on its ability to reproduce, maybe.
Environmental campaigners say it's a disgrace.
A farmer in Herefordshire was sent to jail for 12 months and fined £1.2 million for damaging a triple SI. And here are water companies willfully, negligently, deliberately and almost with impunity been allowed to do so.
we put our findings to the government.
Why is this being allowed to happen?
This kind of activity is completely unacceptable from water companies, and that's why we have got such a significant package now coming at this from every angle.
That includes the potential for criminal prosecutions. The body, which represents water companies, has apologised for sewage spills, saying £10 billion is now being invested to tackle the problem.
These overflows into sensitive areas will be among the earliest to get that money. In fact, some of that work has already started to start fixing these, bring and control those spills right down so that no environmental damage at all is being caused.
But it may take decades to land the prize of cleaner water.